Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS authentic real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. It's Tim and Julie Harris, and this is our fun Friday free-for-all, wherever the heck we want to talk about Friday podcast. But today we're going to be focusing on what I believe to be one of the hottest topics in real estate today, which is, of course, AI. Is it your friend? Is it your foe? So what we're going to do today is we're going to drill down, and this is, Julie's got a killer outline, as she always does. And we're going to follow the outline for the most part, but we're also going to be giving you a lot of fun ways to use AI and hopefully ways that are fun that will also help you make money. So I want to start up by reminding all of you, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, which is harrisrealestatedaily.com. And that's where all the notes are. And Julie has got, I don't know, Julie, how many points are there here?
Well, there's 3 sections and a whole bunch of points. So we may not get to everything today.
Well, here's what I would do if I were you. I would get these notes for sure, because then you can use them as a guide for how to, use AI for yourself with regards to, Sora, making videos, things like that. We talk about a little bit on every podcast how we see AI enhanced agents are going to be the ones that are going to, within months now, are going to be the ones that are going to start dominating certainly social media, but also their localized real estate markets. We're also going to explain to you guys how you fit all this into your businesses. So there's proactive lead generation, there's passive lead generation. And so the AI fits into the bucket of the passive lead generation, whereas the proactive lead generation is what's actually going to put money in your pocket the quickest. So we're going to talk about how to make those things work together. So without any further delay, Julie, your introduction, my dear.
Yes. So one way to look at this, and this is the title, to take you guys today from confused to confident, your guide to mastering AI, or at least starting to master AI, because as we all know at this point, you might feel like you're getting there and then it just gets better and it changes and there's more AIs. So it's okay if you feel like you're constantly chasing that. So do we. Agents, though, it's time to face facts. Your competition isn't just another agent down the street. It's agents who are optimizing all the AI tools that you too have. And there's no expense that's in the way. So you really have no excuses. It's time to embrace AI to win attention, to build trust, and to deliver value faster, not to mention buy your time back and free you up to do the things that you want to do, not just the things that you have to do. So in this session, again, there's 3 sections and there's multiple points, but the 3 sections are, #1, the 5 powerful ways that successful agents use AI every day. We're going to go through that relatively quickly because we've talked about that on several podcasts before. We're just getting your mind working on that. And then #2 is something that I've been deploying, and I talked to you about it the other day, Tim. It's something that makes your prompts work better. It's called the RICO prompt formula, RICO, so that you get useful outputs from basically the first time instead of the 10th iteration of trying. And then #3 is the top 5 AI platforms that you should know about now, not just ChatGPT, but what do each of the other ones do? So that you know how to make each one of them work in your business, or at least you'll be exposed to them so you can try them out. Again, they're free to try out.
So let me start out before we get to our first point, Julie,
Sure.
kind of backfilling what I was just saying about the proactive
Sure.
versus the passive.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a hour-long mastermind for, I don't remember who yesterday. And the gist of it was we were talking, the agents were there's 254 agents, I think, on the Zoom, and they were very nervous about AI. And I was trying to explain to them how to sort of put it in their minds as to what it really is. So there is a theory called the dead internet theory. And Julie, I haven't explained this to you yet.
Yeah.
But the
intriguing.
gist of it, right? The gist of it is that everything on the internet is created by bots and AI, and everything responded to it is like 99% bots and AI. So in other words, when you log in to whatever, all you're really seeing are essentially robots talking to robots, and you think they're real people. And I don't know if you guys have ever gone to Reddit forums, which I wouldn't necessarily suggest you do, but if you were to, you can kind of tell that probably on Reddit forums, 75% of all the comments and the responses. So someone will put up a salacious comment, and then what will happen is the bots, which, are AI bots, will come and then start trying to stir the pot. So it's by design trying to get people to be at each other's throats in essence. And this is another just sort of random.
So it's all triggery in there is what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. It's how it's designed. But what I'm trying to express to all of you is, well, let me give you another example. When Julie and I were talking about this on Friday's show last week, we were talking about how we were talking about Sora 2 and talking about all the fun ways that agents are using it. And actually, if you're, dropping in B-roll, drop in the B-roll, Ann's our producer, drop in the B-roll of the Dan Lesniak flying on a dragon and some of the other
Oh my.
short reels he's made. Yeah, Dan's in our EXP
I
reel.
want to see that one.
I'll show it to you, but it's hilarious. And so he's got him riding a unicorn, him riding a polar bear, all these other types of things. But it's just for fun now. But you can see how he's going to start making it more focused on reinforcing his proactive lead generation. So here's how you got to formulate this in your mind. So proactive lead generation are you having direct conversations with decision-making adults about ideally selling real estate. And that could be centers of influence and past clients. That could be people when you're out walking your neighborhood, your dry cleaner, certainly expires for sale by owners, notice of defaults, probate. You guys get the idea. So direct conversation where you're speaking directly to somebody. That is always going to be and always has been the most important thing. And frankly, the most direct, though skilled path to helping people and making money. The marketing and the advertising. A lot of you guys have tried to use marketing and advertising to make it so that you don't have to do the proactive lead generation. And I totally get it, because the proactive lead generation for the most part requires a lot of time and effort, a lot of right mindset stuff. And ultimately, the proactive lead generation is doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. And who the hell wants to do that, right? I mean, but you have to. So what a lot of people have been trying to fill your minds with is that you can use marketing, advertising, and branding to make it so you never have to do the proactive lead generation. And in some cases, if you're chasing first-time buyers, for example, that was actually working because the first-time buyers were watching Instagram and you're a seemingly legitimate person telling them how to buy their first house. You might get a first-time buyer lead. What's happened really in the last 5 or 6 years is, again, there's so many agents since really the last 15 or 16 years, most in earnest, probably the last 10 or 12 years, who that's all they've done. They've gotten into real estate. They've done the marketing, branding, and advertising thing. They've never learned how to be proactive lead generators. But over time, and you guys have all experienced this, the quality of the leads that you're getting is starting to get worse and worse and worse and worse. It's maybe the dead internet theory, but really what it is your competitors. So your competitors are making their own videos, and you're then now on Instagram. If you wanted your videos to be seen and your reels to help you lead generate, you're spending money to boost those posts and all the rest of it, and on and on and on. And that's how the social media companies make money. The idea of your video went organic, it's because you spent money on it to make it go organic, and then so what? Did you get any real business from it?
Right.
Now, what are we dealing with now? AI, we're fast forward to today. We know that essentially everyone is doing the lead generation or trying to lead generate off passive, social media marketing, branding. And now fast forward to AI. Now everybody and their brother and their dog is going to be using AI to create unbelievably good marketing, branding, and advertising, especially on social media. And there's probably arguably 10 different platforms that you can have AI auto post your AI reels and your videos and your shorts and your longs. There's going to be AI podcasts. There's going to be AI, just every single thing that is going to be viewed through a screen. You have to assume within probably 60 days is going to be a simulation. It's going to be artificial intelligence. It's creating you doing a wonderful walkthrough of a home, or you explaining to a seller how adjustable rate mortgages work. Where does this lead all of you who've only known how to have only known how to passively lead generate, who've basically died on the hill of the marketing, the branding, and the making the videos and all the rest of it? You're going to be at a real problem. You're going to experience a real hardship. It's just, there's no two ways about it. Because when everybody is doing what you're doing, what makes it so your stuff will even be discoverable anymore, even be found? Maybe you can spend some more money, you can promote your videos. That's that answer, but they'll do the same thing. So that whole dog is not going to hunt within probably 90 to 120 days. Now, you do have time to do something about it. And the big first shift that all of you should be making is the realization of what I'm saying is true, because it is. If you can come up with an argument as to why what I'm saying is bunk, please tell me, because I'm looking for reasons to disprove my own hypothesis here. because I'm not looking forward to hearing and experiencing all the agent hardship because of the fact that they're not hearing this message. But I can't think of a reason or figure out a reason why what I'm saying isn't true. Everybody and their brother is going to be a real estate social media influencer. Everybody and their brother is going to look amazing, do amazing videos, have perfect lighting, say the right things. Everybody and their brother is going to be perfectly scripted. Your competitive advantage is going to be eviscerated. It already has. You just don't realize it. So what do you do now? You need to realize that the most successful agents, and by most successful, I don't mean necessarily the most volume or units sold. I mean the ones making the most net income. Listen to what I'm saying, please.
There is a difference. Yes.
Yeah, there is a difference. Are the agents that have always done it by proactive lead generation, and they know that it's the direct communication that wins the game. They know that the social media and marketing advertising stuff, if they choose to do it at all, is just there to enhance their proactive lead generation. So for example, you're going to be at a party. You're going to run into somebody. Real estate's going to be a topic. It's on everyone's mind. It always is. They're then going to be, you're going to be engaging with them. You're going to know what to say. You're going to be asking questions. You're going to be sort of subtly pre-qualifying them to gauge their level of interest. They're then going to go online, maybe on their phones. 90% plus of everyone's doing searches on their phones, and they're going to do homework on you. And then they're going to find all your social media. They're going to find all your channels, all your reels, all your videos, all your posts, all your this, that, and the other. And all of it, you've already set up so AI is constantly churning out a steady stream of very high quality content. That person that you met at that party, you validated, they've done their homework on you and their research on you, and they've researched you by watching all your content. They've liked your content, and then you're going to be able to do business with them. Now, you could have done business with them even if they'd gone online and found some mediocre, nothing content on you, because you had that direct interaction. Versus if you're essentially trying just to attract people through digital means and not doing the proactive, in-person lead generation, how are you ever going to differentiate yourself in the eyes of the consumer? Please see what I'm saying is not something I'm wishing upon the industry. What I'm saying I'm wishing upon you are, frankly, our most important people in our business, our podcast listeners and our coaching clients. I'm hoping you be very clear in your head that you need to be aggressively moving towards learning how to be a masterful, proactive lead generator. And of course, that's what we teach you in Premier Coaching, and that's what we help you to hopefully open your minds to on this podcast. So, Julie, I just wanted to set this up so that they can receive it as intended.
Yes, that's right. And so one of the things I was thinking after listening to your podcast or your interview you did yesterday, as well as some of our coaching clients and our listeners, is what you're saying is everybody's going to start using it. And I think that's right. And then that makes it ubiquitous and all the rest. But I think some of this is a mindset shift, because to talk about AI is a broad thing, right? So what we're going to focus on today is using AI as a tool, or your AI tools, because that is something that enhances your business and should free you up to do that proactive lead generation that's going to be required of you. But then there's another side of it, which is maybe the fun stuff like Sora that will be in support of the real work of real estate. So it's not just like I use AI, it's these little bits and pieces. And how are you going to assemble all of that to support you in your real estate practice in such a way that you can do actually more of the in-person stuff?
Right.
And at the same time, not having it so that all of the cool stuff that you figure out how to do on AI, especially with Sora, makes it so that that's so different than you. You know what I'm saying?
Julie,
it's like crossing that bridge. That's what I was thinking as you were talking.
I'm going to share with you guys something that I've never talked about on the show before, but just popped into my head listening to Julie. When Julie and I go to real estate events, and we also have another podcast called Full Throttle Talk. And when we go to, well, Julie's not on Full Throttle Talk, but she's obviously on the show, and we run into people, there is no buffer between, they already know us. Basically, that's it. Yeah. They already know us. And it's strange when you meet somebody who's a podcast, part of our community, they'll instantly start talking about something that they learned on the show, but they won't say, I learned this on the show. They'll say, when you guys were talking about, there's no like, hi, I'm Bob from Omaha.
No, it's an instant familiarity.
That's right. And so when I, Julian, again, I have another podcast called Full Throttle Talk. And if you guys are car nerds, definitely tune into that. It's been number 1 in America on iTunes for a while now. I think it's number 20, but it doesn't matter. It's just a passion project, Full Throttle Talk. So Jules and I went to it was a big Porsche event called what's it called? Lifticult, right. Where was it? Durham, North Carolina. Yeah. And when we got I got recognized at the car event, and it was strange And that we go to car events all the time, and we don't get ever recognized. We're just there. But it was so weird to have I was sitting having a cup of coffee, and a very nice guy who was walking by turned around, recognized me, and then just started having a conversation. And my brain was not on this. I did not know what the hell.
It's fun to watch.
I was like, "Do I know you? Do I? What are you talking
I
about?"
can see the gears going click, 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 click.
It was
Okay.
awkward. And it wasn't awkward for him. So why am I telling you this? Because it's called being micro famous, and we're micro famous. But the reality of it is when you do the offline work, the social media and all that, it will cause you to have that same level of instant familiarity with the people that you're trying to attract when you talk to them online, or when you talk to them, proactive versus passive. So when you're doing the AI created social media and you're doing the content creation, you're forming a brand for yourself, I guess. And then when they meet you in person, I'm warning you, maybe prepare yourself for there to be no getting ready to get to know you, and they'll recognize you and they'll talk to you about something they learned. And so that is how you bridge the two worlds, the passive and the proactive. As you have to do the proactive, otherwise you're not going to get the benefits of having, planted the trees and waited for the apple trees to grow so you can pluck the apples off. That's what all the passive stuff is. But the passive stuff will make your proactive more powerful because they'll already feel like they have a level of familiarity with you. Does that make sense, Julie?
It does, but what I'm thinking is that your real life skill has to match fairly well to what AI will turn you into potentially, and you can't have that much of a chasm, or it will be seriously awkward.
But in other words, if you're unbelievably good about talking about a specific type of, this particular community, because AI is going to make you all seem like geniuses, right? And all of a sudden somebody meets you at the Starbucks and you don't even remember the street names. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of an awkward situation there, and that person's not going to do business.
Yeah.
But it's funny, everyone traditionally has made fun of realtor pictures, right?
You just wait.
The realtor pictures don't look like the person in real life, kind of thing. Yeah, but AI is going to even make it even more fun. Like I can
Somebody's
imagine,
going to ask Dan where he keeps his dragon.
or his unicorn. Exactly.
Unicorn.
Well, so anyway, be excited about all this because it's going to make those of you who are willing to do the proactive lead generation, who are willing to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do at the highest level. It's going to make your job when you're meeting people and you're contacting people directly over the phone or whatnot so much easier because the AI has built a brand that you won't have to do anymore. That's why I'm so incredibly excited for all of you who are willing to do the real work of real estate. Julie Harris.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to go through these first 5 relatively quickly. These are top 5 ways that agents use AI. And if you guys are using them other ways, then send us a message. We're always interested in seeing how you utilize these things. The one that comes up the most frequently at the top is number 1, listing marketing that sells homes faster. You can ask your AI to write your MLS descriptions, social captions, even teaser scripts like coming soons or things like that. An example prompt of that might be write a 150-word MLS description, or however many words your MLS allows, for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home in Scottsdale with beautiful chef's kitchen and mountain views. Your tone should be confident and elegant with a luxury feel. I use that example because one of my elite coaching clients did this very thing with an actual chef's kitchen that she was she was like, not everybody's going to understand this kitchen. I'm going to get help from my AI writing it in such a way that somebody's going to see that and go, oh, I've always wanted that kitchen. So descriptions for your MLS, your home brochures, et cetera. Home brochures are the second one.
Jules, let's go to your second point and then back. You got these out of order, I think. Let's start with your RICO. Start with that so we can tell them because you know what I mean? Doesn't that make more sense?
Yeah, actually, I would recommend that they get these first ones on how to use your typical AI from the newsletter. Yeah. Because the second part, RICO, this is my favorite anyway. This is really important. No matter what you're doing, but let's say that we're talking about a home brochure and MLS description. You're prompting, you're asking your assistant. So this is not in the outline, but the important thing is think of your AI. Let's use ChatGPT as an example. Think of them as an actual human assistant instead of thinking of them as Google search. It's not the same. This is so much more advanced. And that's why Google's, searches have dropped dramatically. I think it's something like 40%. But anyway, back to your AI, ChatGPT. This is your assistant. So how are you going to get better results? Think of the word RICO, R-I-C-O, okay? So the RICO model ensures that you are prompting your ChatGPT correctly to get the result that you want. So R stands for role. Remember, you're talking to them as if they're a human. What is their role? It can be many different types of assistants, but you're going to say, you are my real estate marketing expert today. That's your role. I might say, you are my podcast outline format editor so that I don't have to go through and highlight things and italicize and put points in. I'm going to say, what is your role? Because you need to define that. The next thing is I. Remember RICO, R-I-C-O. I is intent. What is the goal? To get more showings the first week. If you're writing a home brochure and an MLS description, what's the intent? I want to get maximum showings. The intent is to make other agents and buyers who are looking online be dying to set up my listing as their first showing. That's the intent. Then you need to give it some context. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, and it causes them the back and forth, tediousness. And then you end up saying, I could have written something myself faster. You don't want that. So C is context. Give it something to work with. 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,450 square feet, near schools, cul-de-sac. Here are some recent comps. Here are the pictures. Here is the last listing. Maybe it was an expired, and you can give it the previous listing with pictures and description.
Well, give it the address too, which I hopefully Julie's,
Yes.
in context. Give it the address. Let it, tell it to.
You're giving it stuff to work with.
Right. And when you're back to role, you say you're a real estate marketing expert. Please do you could say do your best work, research to make this, something really phenomenal, that type of thing. You need to express to it that you're wanting something really high level. Otherwise, what it's going to do, it's going to do the least amount. It's like a human, right? Like Julie said,
Right.
it's going to take the least amount of time and make the least amount of effort to give you the quickest result, because 99% of everyone's going to be satisfied with that. But you got to realize that if you keep pushing it, or if you prompt it correctly in the first place, it's going to do a phenomenal job like you can't even possibly imagine. Remember, guys, that AI is so funny. It was what, 6 months, maybe 12 months ago. AI was like a really good junior or maybe senior in high school, right? Straight A's, great grades. Now it's like a PhD student. Soon it's going to be something like an industry level expert. That's how fast it's able to, how fast it's advanced in its understanding of what we want when we prompt it correctly.
And it has so much to work with. Remember in the beginning that was only going back, like 12 months worth of content at all to search. And now we've all been using it, and it's just got a lot more robust output. So context also can be what to say and what not to say. Like, you might not want to say something that's a protected class that you're not allowed to use in your MLS, something like that, just to give it a little bit more to work with. But if your context is only 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,450 square feet, well, then you're going to get a real boring, plain Jane, nothing response. You want to say, this is in a beautiful neighborhood that's known for its parks, it's lakes, Jules, it's whatever.
But wouldn't you also, in that context section, you're the one that researched this, so you'll know better than me. Wouldn't you also maybe tell it to write it, and if you wanted to have it write it in a certain style, like formal, informal, funny kind of thing? Couldn't you also tell it to say, write this so that it's easy to read, it's entertaining?
That would be in context, yes.
Yes.
And you can try different ways. You might suggest that it be a more humorous type of thing, depending on what you're talking about. I have a coaching client that's listing a castle on a lake. Well, that gives you a lot of creative opportunity to try different things. Maybe you're going to write it in the tone of a British Homes magazine. Maybe you're going to write it like in Jeannie's case. She has this beautiful listing with this incredible kitchen, this huge island, and all these bells and whistles. Maybe she's going to ask it, write it as if you are trying to get every chef in Phoenix to pay attention. What's going to be a hot button for a gourmet chef kitchen, and see what it comes out with, right?
From an architectural perspective, but just really
exactly.
It's so as far as
that's context. And then one more O is output. What do you want from it? What is the net result of your prompts? Write a 150-word MLS description and 3 Instagram captions and a 30-second teaser video script. Or you might take one of those at a time. And then you can ask it for 3 different versions of that. Tell it which one you like the best. And then maybe you do one more iteration, and that's all you had to do to get the results that you want.
Let me add something on output. So you're going to want to maximize the SEO potential when you're using RICO, that system, to go about prompting AI, right? So you need to put in, probably in the output section, literally tell it to maximize the SEO potential using, and there's different types of SEO, but I'll just give you the bottom line. for the sake of search on YouTube. Just tell it that. You want to maximize the SEO potential on YouTube. And what it's going to do, it's going to research the words and the phrases it uses. It's going to research to find out what the keywords are and the phrases that people are already searching for in the videos and the reels that are already getting watched. And that'll also obviously work on, automatically work on Facebook too. So really make this thing work for you. You can ask it to come up with on YouTube. When you ask it to maximize it for SEO for YouTube, it's also going to come out with specific YouTube hashtags, because though on Instagram hashtags don't mean bunk anymore, on YouTube they still do. So again, get these notes. I know we're giving you guys a lot of information, but we want you to play with this over the weekend and actually start using it right away. Again, harrisrealestatedaily.com is our newsletter, or the link is down below. All right, Julie.
That's right. I also read, so before we get off of this topic, for the context, you also want to give it a little bit of coaching. In some cases, you might say, no legal advice, don't use legal terms. You might say, you can or can't say certain words, or focus on this or that. So, you can work with this. But remember RICO, role, intent, context, output.
But
okay.
This is, I know we're getting into the weeds, but
it's okay.
Also tell it to not sound like AI. Say it has to sound like cannot sound like a computer wrote it. You have to literally tell it that. Go ahead, Jules.
This is important. So one of the things having to do with this, and again, this would go into context. And remember, you don't have to do this 100 times, this RICO business. What will happen is, if you decide that you're always going to use your AI assistant, let's say ChatGPT, to always assist you when you're writing a home brochure and MLS description, you're never going to do it on your own alone, because that was annoying and it took you too long, right? So I'm always going to do that. It will learn your tone. And so one of the things that will help you with that is to give it, like maybe you did 2 or 3 really killer descriptions that you loved and got really good results, and it did sound like you, and it sounded like your market. It sounded like maybe you're a luxury agent, maybe your thing is first-time buyers, but it sounds like you. So you can give it that you wrote and say, sound like me, not like AI. And it'll pick up some of your tonality.
Or frankly, for a lot of us, Julie,
don't sound like me.
Exactly. It's going to, but the moral of the story is what she said there. The most important thing is every time you go do a search inside ChatGPT, just to use it as an example, but Sora and all the others use the same thing. You create the button. Click the button that says, I think it's new session. Isn't that what it says, Julie?
Yeah.
Because if you guys have been screwing around on AI, what'll happen is if you don't start so you're going to have it help you write a home brochure, and then you want it to go and help you write a letter to your best friend from high school. What it's going to do is, if you haven't differentiated that these are different assignments, it's going to combine all of it into one big gobbledygook.
Then you'll get crazy.
Then you're going to get crazy. You're going to go like, why the hell is it talking about my high school best friend in a home description? It doesn't make any sense. So you need to click the button to start a new session. But what it will do, and Julie just said it, it's really amazing, is I don't even know if you need an account, but for writing, we use ChatGPT. When you go into ChatGPT and I say, please help me write a description for dun, 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 and use the past references, I don't even have to go back and prompt it anymore, because I prompted it originally the way I wanted it to do it. And it knows the results that I liked. And so now it basically just goes through the winning results and writes a variant of what it already did in the past that was successful. And it takes no time now. Whereas originally, when you're it's like if you hired somebody, what Jules said at the top is perfect. So imagine you're hiring an assistant, a real human being. And this human being is massively smart and incredibly efficient, but they still need direction from you. They don't necessarily have a real estate background. So you're going to have to train them up a little bit, and then they're going to learn really, really fast. So that's the main thing. Don't be intimidated by all this. Just get online and start playing with it, and you'll find that it's very easy. And it's actually kind of fun too. You'll lose all kinds of time.
Yeah, well, but it does make you more efficient, as long as you can get creative quickly, to your point. But it does remember what you did. I still say new task or new topic.
Yeah.
But you use the tab as well. And what's been amazing to me is, if I say I've named mine Matilda, okay, so my ChatGPT is
it asks for a name. So that's Julie saying something. So your chat, when you use it every day, it becomes like your friend. And you'll say, should we give you a name? And then you ask it. So if you were a real live person, what would you look like? Where would you live? This is you asking chat. I know this is silly, but it's true. And you ask it about like what it thinks it looks like. And it always designs itself to sound and look like a millennial, by the way. And then ask it are you a male or a female? What do you want your name to be? And let the AI tell you what it thinks its personality should be, and then boom, that's it. All right, it's perfect. Your name is Jane. You live in San Francisco. You have 3 nose rings. Let's roll.
That's right. But it does make it easier for you to talk to it like it's really an assistant
Yep.
versus what we're all trained to default to Google search, which was not nearly as involved as this. But what's interesting is I'll say, "Good morning, Matilda." And at this point, because we've done so many projects together, it'll say, "Good morning, Julie. Will we be writing a Fun Friday podcast, or will this be in your typical podcast editing that you'd like me to do?"
Because it knows what day of the week it is, and it knows Jules writes the outline for Fun Friday on Thursday or Friday morning. So it knows Julie's whole entire life.
Exactly. And if I say fun, we've done different, this is an AI Friday, but we've done different Fun Fridays, and it'll ask me about that. And so it now knows that on some of our Fun Fridays, we have a collection of unrelated items, and it'll say, "Is that what we're doing, or are we doing something else?" So it actually starts to reverse coach you in a sense to make you better at what you're doing and more efficient.
And if you hit a hard wall, like sometimes, not on a real estate podcast, but sometimes Julie and I are trying to, well, on Full Throttle Talk, I host the show, so I've got to come up with some different topics sometimes. And I don't know. I mean, sometimes I just am not thinking car stuff. So I'll ask AI, what are the top, like, what should I be talking about on this week's Full Throttle Talk? What are the topics? Please go and research to find out what the top topics have been on all automotive podcasts in the world, the ones that have resulted in the most, consumption. What are the topics that have been made into videos that are getting the most views and da 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 da? And it'll tell me. And then half of them will be about things I know our audience wouldn't care about. And then I'll say, well, let's choose, what of those 3 do you think would be best? And then it'll tell me, and then it'll say, would you like me to help you write an outline for your podcast of questions you should ask the people you're interviewing? I mean, it's so badass.
Right. And like it's thinking that before you asked that.
Right.
Would you like me to do this? Would you like me to do that? Okay. So we could go on because this is a very evolving topic, but let's talk about the top 5 AI platforms, because we talk a lot about ChatGPT because we personally use that one as our primary AI, but with some real estate examples. So of course, number 1 is ChatGPT, which is OpenAI. The strength is versatile writing, strategy, planning, workflows, kind of like your everything assistant. But again, using RICO, you're going to define what its role is. So ChatGPT.
Yeah, let me do number 2, Grok, because you don't have Grok on your list.
I had 2. Yeah, I guess I don't. Okay, you
Yeah,
can make number 2.
So Grok is the one that is Elon Musk's AI, and Grok works almost identical to ChatGPT. And the way but Grok is way funnier and way more creative with how it writes. So like ChatGPT would be if you were writing. I mean, it's fun and it's creative, and for us, it's because we're mostly doing business to business type writing. So it makes the most sense. But when I'm writing stuff for Full Throttle Talk, which is mostly, us dealing with fellow car enthusiasts, I'll use Grok because it's so much more sarcastic, especially if you give it permission to. It will say stuff that honestly is marginal as far as whether or not you'd ever want to use it. I'm not saying racist or anything like that, but it's funny. It was really, truly funny.
Yeah.
So, but Grok is, I would say, from when I'm seeing, as far as those 2 AI platforms between OpenAI and Grok, OpenAI is easier to use, but Grok seems to be positioning itself to be a more expansive AI and have fewer guardrails, which will allow you to be more creative. So Grok is trying to work within the guardrails that you put up. With OpenAI, it seems like you're having to operate within the guardrails that it puts up. That's all I'm saying. So there's more room to be creative with Grok. All right, Julie, Claude is the next one you wanted to talk about.
Yes. Okay. So Claude is good at handling longer documents, compliance, nuanced drafting. It's a little bit more dry. You might use the example of dropping in an HOA document and asking it for a 10-point summary, like and a lot of your real estate documents might need that. You can ask it to summarize in 5 bullet points something really long and drawn out that you're not going to, read all 20 pages.
Well,
and you can, it does other things, but that's what it's kind of known for.
But Jules, you just said something. So you can, and hopefully you guys are figuring all this out. You can take a really long form. It could even be a book, right? And you can take the link, copy the link, option.
Okay. So let's hover there for a second, because I think a lot of people, I find this with coaching clients, because we're all getting used to using this. Yes, you can drop in a link. I always ask it, can you read this, just to make sure before I go into what I'm going to ask it, can you read this? Most times it can. You can drop pictures, you can drop links, you can drop documents, PDFs, the whole thing. So don't feel like you have to go into the PDF and cut and paste and put it in. You just give it what, and it'll say, well, I can't quite read that. Every now and then it'll ask you to cut and paste. Sorry.
Right. And no, you're perfect. And so then you drop in the link and say, could you please summarize this for me? It doesn't matter how long it is, and it will summarize it for you in, in a palatable way, which means that if you're creating content yourself, you can obviously use that for a lot of very interesting ways. Maybe there is some long-winded HOA doc, which is boring as hell to go through. No one's ever going to read. Drop that in there for your community that you're servicing, and then ask it to summarize it. And there's some great talking points for you to create a video around, or even better, which we're about to talk about in 2 points, Sora will then create a video. You guys getting it here? You see how all of this stuff is going to be automated and be easy to use. It's actually a fun, creative outlet. Don't let it suck away all your best energies every day, because you're not going to make money from this. This is designed to enhance the proactive lead generation. Please don't forget that point.
Right.
All right, Julie, let's go on to Gemini.
Gemini's strength is deep integration with Docs, Sheets, Gmail, and Drive. Gemini is through Google. That's why it's all about your Docs, your Sheets, your Gmail, and your Drive. I haven't used it that much yet, but I'm going to start getting it to integrate more automation. Like, I think it'll get into, for example, my Google Calendar, and I can ask it to confirm all coaching calls. So I'm not doing that anymore. I won't even have to think about it anymore, because Gemini is part of Google and it can access my Docs, my Sheets, my calendar, all of those things. So that's what that's known for. And again, all of these are changing and becoming more robust. The next one, and I know you're anxious to get to Sora, so I'll get to
I'm only sort of, as far as the Gemini thing goes, Google searches, Julie says, dropped by 40%. I've heard that straight up Google searches have dropped by more than 60% now because everyone's using AI. But when you go to Google right now and you do a search, what are the first results that come up? The AI from Gemini results come up first. And that's almost always what people are gravitating towards. It is, the death rattle of everyone that's spent so much time trying to maximize their SEO on Google. I know there's a lot of people that are telling you that's not the case, but it clearly is. Go on Gemini and do a search around the keywords that you'd spend all this money and time trying to, leverage into creating clicks to your website, and see if Gemini basically still gives you that preferential treatment. You're going to find that it does not. All the rules have changed. Please wake up to the new reality and maximize this, because things are going so fast. I'm 55. When I was younger, and Julie and I have been in this business since we were in our 20s, a great idea would last years. You could have a great idea for lead generation, marketing, something, and you would have a competitive advantage for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Nowadays, because of AI, it's sometimes a matter of weeks. That's the reason that when people ask us, and we're doing this podcast about AI, obviously, but we get asked all the time, by brokers, by team leaders, by, everyone, what should I be doing with AI? And I tell them this is the summary, from today's podcast, but don't waste any money on it. Don't waste any real time on it beyond what we're suggesting that you do, because it's going to go so fast. Right now, we're still asking you to do a fair amount of manual input. We're teaching you how to prompt, and we're telling you how to have a relationship with your AI and all that. But realistically, within the very foreseeable future, AI is going to do all that interaction with itself, so you don't even have to do it anymore. It's going to quickly learn everything there is about you. It's going to who knows where it's going to go. So this is
kind of growing organically, though, and that's why part of my point of today's show is to get people to just start using it. You don't have to be like, oh my God,
not be intimidated by it. Yeah.
Don't be intimidated. And fortunately, there's no expenditure. So you don't have to be like, oh gosh, I spent $5,000 on that. I better learn it.
And
just start using these things.
And all these doomsdayer types that are saying AI is going to replace agents, I want you to tell me how. Seriously, I want you to tell me how. I want you to explain to me how AI is going to replace the real estate agent, when you take into consideration that in all 50 states, you have to have a real estate license to do a real estate transaction. And I'm pretty damn sure AI is not going to be able to get a real estate license. So as long as AI can't get a real estate, now if AI can get a real estate license, then I'd say we all get jobs at Starbucks. But until that happens, I think you're just fine. You have a deep thought.
Could it do your CE for you? I don't know. Anyway.
Probably.
That would be great. Okay, so we're going to talk about Perplexity. I'm going to start using Perplexity a little bit more in different areas. It's known for research and citations. This is kind of like the ultimate fact checker. So the example here is give me 3 credible sources for the average rent in zip code 30327 over the past 12 months with cited links. Now I would feed it more specifics like 1,000 square feet in the school district or whatever, but you're going to get evidence-based insights. So let's say I have one of our property managers of one of our rentals say, you have a vacancy on Church Street in Georgetown, Texas. We think that you should just put it back at the same rent. Okay, I'm going to fact check that and my property manager, and I'm going to ask for this, and they might be 100% right. But Perplexity might tell me that in the past 12 months that rents have either gone up 10% or down 10%, or there's a recent comp that's exactly like that property. You can raise it by $50, but not by $100. So things like that. Also, one of the things that I do, like on our Fun Friday, where we're talking about aliens and octopuses and all that kind of stuff, and there's kind of fun, silly stories, I make sure that those are actually true and it wasn't just completely made up, especially as people get more creative with our next point, which is about Sora, because you can invent and use a lot of creativity. So Perplexity is really your fact checker and researcher. And I think Perplexity is its own thing. I'm not sure that that's
It is.
true. Yeah, I think it's his own deal.
Its own thing. But what's cool is all these AIs are starting to define what their specific roles are because they're trying to carve out their own niches. And that's, of course, what's going to continue to happen. But really, it's so exciting to think that within, now basically, an agent's going to get a license, a brand new real estate agent. They're going to be able to, sit down to their, real estate expert AI. I don't know. That's not a real name, but you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
You're going to stand in front of your phone, and Sora, which is our next point, is going to be able to scan your whole body. You're going to speak into your computer's mic or your phone's mic, and it's going to learn how your voice is. It's going to have you read different things, and it's going to create a one-for-one avatar of you. And then you're going to be able to click a couple buttons, and it's going to say, well, these are the top 30 topics that we know consumers look for when they're trying to validate whether they want to work with a real estate agent. Would you like me to create these 3 videos under each of these topics using your new avatar, the avatar Julie? And Julie's going to say yes. And then it's going to create all these amazing reels. Now, here's the thing about videos. Now, this podcast is going to be over an hour, but most people will not watch a reel for more than 60 seconds. So 60-second videos are what these Sora AIs and all the rest of it are focusing on, which means people, I don't even want to get into the psychology of, the attention span stuff, but the moral of the story is AI will then create for that brand new agent 60 to 100 really amazing videos. And then it's going to push it to all those little short reels. It's going to put it on a schedule. So it's publishing 3 a day on X, on, all these other platforms that you use, Facebook and Twitter and, Instagram and TikTok and all the rest of it. And it's going to start being your social media content producer for you. And it's going to start doing it all on autopilot. And then maybe it's going to say, it'll send you a notice. It'll say, I noticed that there's a new topic that you might want to be aware of. It looks like interest rates, which they're going to, which is really exciting, are going to be in the 30-year fixed in the 5% range. Would you like me to create some content and share that as well? And of course, you're going to say yes. And then it's going to create content around that. So it's going to do the creative thinking for you. It's going to do the creative writing for you. It's going to create the videos for you. It's going to syndicate.
And it'll do it in the appropriate way. If you want a 60-second reel or you want a 30-second reel, it's going to do that. It takes away the you writing it, you rehearsing it, you editing it, you deciding what to cut, which is, if we're being honest, probably why many of you haven't done any of that.
It takes too much time.
Heavy lift.
I mean, Julie, it takes too much time. If you look at the amount of time that an agent has to take the old way, say 6 months ago, old way, right? To create even a decent 60-second reel, they have to come up with the idea. They have to write the script. They have to film the damn thing. They have to edit it. They have to then come up with the right keywords, the SEO stuff, write the description, write a title. They have to A/B test all their titles.
Out.
I mean, I'm out too. What the hell? I'm going to go call for sale by owner, right? I mean, so like, for example, if you guys are in a marketplace, which all of you are, where there's a lot of expireds, why don't you have your AI avatar version of you create a tsunami of content about expired listings, yet to be sold listings, and how you're the expert, once you are, because you've joined Premier Coaching, on how to get those homes sold. And have that way, when that expired gets the call from you about listing their home, they're going to, of course, they're all going to search you probably on their phones, and they're going to find that you have positioned yourself as the go-to kick-ass expert on getting expired listings sold. Guys, get it? That's why we love this stuff. because it's the passive lead generation, which is enhancing the proactive lead generation. But you cannot do just the passive. You have to do the proactive. And if you only want to do both, at this point, I think you're out of excuses for not doing both. Do the proactive. But now, considering how easy the passive has gotten from what we're describing to you today, do both. And, you will never have a competitive disadvantage again. Jules?
Yeah. So one of the things that you have to train yourself to do, and then I'm going to turn the Sora conversation over to you in a second, is whenever you're sitting down to do something in your real estate practice, think, how can my AI assistants help me? Maybe you got a really hairy home inspection today, and it's like 10 pages, and it's handwritten by the home inspector, and it's in digital format, and your buyer doesn't know what to do, and you don't want to have a huge grocery list, and you don't want to sit there and read it for the next hour. Give it to your AI and say, read this for me and give me, your opinion on what are the top 3 things that are most important and what is it going to cost to maybe remedy those. That'll at least give you a little edge on your time, right? And then it'll give you some talking points when you call your client back. Maybe there's an appraisal issue. Give it to your AI. Ask, what do you think about this? Are these comps for real? Whatever it is, you start to think, how can I be more efficient?
Well,
and when you stop, when you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, I got to put that off because that's going to take too much time. Maybe you can go to your AI assistants and just bang it out in 10 minutes in a nice professional manner.
We've used this for personal stuff. I mean, without getting into the weeds with you guys, but we've had, school issues with Zoe, or frankly, all these issues.
Well, I mean, I had blood tests not too long ago, and I gave it the chart. There's all these different matrix that you can read. Are you up or down on this? And what's your level of potassium? And it said, you're okay. And I said to it, don't tell me what I'm okay on. Give me anything that I should be thinking about and fixing. There were like 3 things, and it gave recommendations. And then I can go and talk to my doctor and say, I noticed these 3 things. And they're like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Did you put that in AI?
Jules and I do blood tests twice a year, and I had the same thing. I dropped the blood test into ChatGPT, and then I had my telemedicine call with our doctor, and I told him what I read from the test, and then he was just watching me, and then I told him what I was going to do, and little this, little that, and then he said, you used ChatGPT, didn't you?
Yeah. But really, on stuff like that, it's just reading numbers and matrices and interpreting, So lots of different things. The point is, and not just in real estate. This is your real estate podcast. You can apply that to virtually anything. Like, I'm looking for a new eye doctor near Murphy. Well, before I would hit Google, I would try and map it all out. I'd see who's closest. Now I can just say to Matilda, within a 20-mile radius of this zip code, find me somebody who specializes in this type of eye test, and give me their phone numbers. And it's like that.
Yeah. All right. So Sora, we talked about that obsessively on the podcast this week and last Friday. But really, at the end of the day, it is going to completely and totally take the world by surprise. It's starting out by making these short little videos. And if you guys are on Instagram and you're watching, just remember I'm telling you this, 90% of the videos, if not more, you're seeing on Instagram are all made by Sora now. And so you're seeing the quality of what's actually being produced, and some of it is unbelievably good.
And the creativity.
What's going to happen next? Full feature videos, full feature movies, hour-long things. Agents doing everything you can everything people have been doing using, old-fashioned cameras and lights and scripts and people and the rest of it is all going to be done instantaneously by AI. And that's really something all of us can look forward to. Don't be intimidated by it, because remember, you're at that party, you're talking to somebody, turns out they have a house to sell and they want to move up, and you had a great conversation with them, you exchanged information, you're going to follow up with them. They're going to hit up they're going to go to AI and they're going to ask about Julie Harris and, Dorado, Puerto Rico, and they're going to find all Julie's AI created social media content that's done nothing but reinforced her as the expert in Dorado, Puerto Rico. Guys, get it? Mm-hmm. That's where all this is going. And it's not going to take you months and years to figure all this out. I know some of your competitors have been doing videos and whatnot for years. They have all these followers and da-da-da-da-da. Won't matter. Doesn't matter now, because you're going to be able to essentially, whoever your competitor is that likes to peacock around, that they get all these leads from online, go and have the AI search to find out which of their videos and reels are getting the most response, and then have AI create a version of that for you. And then you're competing one for one. So yes, unfair advantage is at your doorstep. Julie Harris, conclusion from confused to confident right now.
Yes. So AI is not a gimmick. It's not going to come and go. It's not a fad. It's not a future maybe. It's changing the playing field. We're already seeing that. As Tim said, just go look at Instagram if you want proof of that. Agents who master the things that we talked about today and the rest of the stuff that's coming down the pipeline are going to get more attention, close more deals, and reclaim hours and hours in their week. So here's what to do next. Start small. Try one AI thing at a time. Maybe your next home brochure or maybe your next MLS description. Just get started and then remember to go back to it. We talked about that. Number two, make sure you're using the prompts with RICO, as we talked about, the role, the intent, the context, and the output, plus maybe a few guardrails, some iterations, some data, more for it to work with. Again, treat it like it's your actual human assistant. Number three, pick the right tool for the job. Use ChatGPT for content, Claude for documents, Gemini for Google ecosystem, Perplexity for research, Sora 2 for video. And there's more than that, but those are the top 5. How do I know they were the top 5? Because I asked my AI what the top 5 were.
Yeah, but ironically, Julie, in the order
And
in
Grok
which,
too.
in the order in which it answered. Okay, so
I know.
let's
It
talk,
is a little self-centered, isn't it?
but let's talk about this though, because you just pointed out something that's funny. So Julie used ChatGPT to help her polish these notes, and it asked her what the top it gave the top 5 AI platform agents should know about with real life examples. And the number one, remember she used ChatGPT, was of course ChatGPT, and nowhere on this list I had to add it was Grok. I don't know if you guys know this. This is
That's right.
quite hilarious. Sam Altman, who basically is in charge of ChatGPT, and Elon Musk are no fans of each other. And so Julie asked ChatGPT for the list of the top 5 AI platforms. And oddly, it excluded Grok.
I should ask it. I'll ask it, why isn't Grok on there? See what it says.
Yeah, exactly. So be excited about this. Don't be intimidated by it. But remember, the agents that are going to have the advantage in the future now are not the agents that have all the social media, the branding, and all the rest of it. Are the agents that actually know how to do the direct, proactive lead generating, the ones that know how to have meaningful conversations, the ones that know to avoid talking about themselves and ask me, questions that are going to help folks to, feel listened to, things like that. People with real sales skills, people with real communication skills, people with the real desire to be in alignment with their highest and truest purpose on this planet, which is being of service to others. Those are the people that are going to win. And the AI stuff is going to make them win faster. It's going to make them win bigger. So you got to decide which side of that tennis court you're going to be on, the winner or the loser side. So listen, guys, we are doing our masterminds. We're going to continue to do them. We announced them last week that we're doing 3 more. Just go to harrismastermind.com, and Julie and I are going to be helping you to overcome the 3 biggest challenges that agents are having in their businesses right now. Go to harrismastermind.com or click the links below. In the meantime, have a fantastic day. And we have literally over 10,000 past podcasts. So if you like today's show, please remember to give us a 5-star review over on iTunes and include a pithy comment. We certainly appreciate your continued support. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow or any day if you want to listen to our replays. Thanks. Hello, thank you for having watched this video. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's right. And don't forget to hit that like button, leave your comments and questions below, and we will get right back with you.
Thank you for watching this video. And remember to watch the next one. You're going to love that one.